The man stood motionless inside the square from 9 in the morning until 5:30 in the afternoon, earning $50 with ease. At first, Tom didn't believe it, thinking the other man must be joking. But the boss turned to leave, saying he would find someone else. Seeing that he was about to miss the opportunity, Tom quickly grabbed him and, with a might-as-well-try attitude, decided to accept the task. So Tom stepped into the square, and the boss, seeing this, left. For the rest of the time, Tom simply stood there, occasionally passing the time by watching birds or interacting with his own shadow, until 5:30 arrived. He hadn't held much hope, but to his surprise, the boss returned on time as promised and handed him the agreed $50. He was overjoyed, thinking he could do such an easy job for the rest of his life. No sooner had he spoken than the boss replied, "Sure, that's exactly what I want," and even raised his pay to $100. And so, Tom officially accepted the job. The next day, he stood there again. At that moment, two of his friends happened to pass by and greeted him warmly. They invited him to go skateboarding, saying there would be girls in a party, but he refused, saying he was working and earning a living. Curious but not pressing further, his friends said goodbye and left. After they were gone, thinking about their words, Tom looked around, then cautiously stretched his foot out of the square and tapped the ground with his toe. He wanted to see what would happen, but even after standing until 8 that night, the boss never came to pay him. He realized this was the boss's punishment. From that day on, Tom never dared to step outside the square again, not even when faced with a robbery or when passers-by desperately begged for his help. He would only say he was working and couldn't leave, and his salary had already risen to $400. At 5:30 that day, the boss came as usual to pay Tom. As the boss was leaving, Tom called out to him, wanting to say he didn't want the job anymore because it was too boring. But just as the words reached his lips, he thought of the daily pay and swallowed them back, saying it was nothing. Once the boss confirmed Tom was fine, he turned and left. Watching the boss's figure disappear into the distance, Tom suddenly became curious about him. He followed the boss through several streets until he saw him enter a house. Since it was private property, Tom couldn't go in, so he stood below and looked inside through a window. What he saw left him stunned. The boss was sitting down to put on makeup, painting his face into the likeness of a clown. And upon seeing that clown, Tom felt a strange, indescribable emotion in his heart.